Right, it is 10 to 9. We're continuing, we said, we're rugby central here this morning, and we continue very much in that theme, because I'm delighted to say that the former England international, Gloucester, Leicester, Bath, and now playing in Japan, brother, of course, of the Ireland out-half Billy, Freddie Burns, joins us on the line. Good morning to you, Freddie.
Morning, how are you, lads? All right?
Great, thanks, and thanks, Millie, for jumping on the line. Is he starting this weekend?
I don't know yet, mate. I don't know. I'm waiting for 12 o'clock like the rest of us.
Come on, give us the inside scoop.
No, mate, my lips are sealed. I can't do it. I'll get shot if I say anything. But no, I don't know, mate. I'm out here. The time difference and that, I've kind of left him to it this week. So fingers crossed he gets a chance to sort of bounce back from last weekend, whether that's on the bench or starting or whatever. But fingers crossed he's involved.
Yeah, I'm sure it hasn't been lost on you, and we haven't spoken to you before, and now we have the chance to do that, and like a lot of it is obviously on foot of what happened last weekend, and it's really dominated a lot of the rugby conversation this week here, in relation to obviously what went on there. What you said you haven't been speaking to him at all?
Yeah, no, I just dropped him. Obviously, I dropped him a message after the game, and then one sort of midweek just to check in. But having been in a similar situation, a very different sort of context. Mine, let's not kid ourselves, mine is wholeheartedly worse than anything Bill did. So I've been there, I've taken the flak, and I've bounced back from it. So I've just reached out to him, made sure he's all right, and he's fine. And I know that he's just focused on this weekend and getting out there and continuing the form that he's been in for Ulster and for Ireland in the All Nations Cup. So he'll be chomping at the bit just to get out there and do his thing.
What sort of a fella is he, Freddie, in relation to that? We don't know him that well. He's obviously only been over a couple of years. And what sort of fella is he typically around that stuff? Does he take a little bit of time to chew it over and then park it, or does he move on pretty quickly?
I think he moves on pretty quickly. One thing I say about Bill is, he's mentally very strong. And like I said, he put his balls on the line at the weekend to go for the 5 metre line, and sometimes in that position it don't go for you. And it's one of those things. It's a test of character. Obviously, he's taken a lot of stick for it, which you're gonna. That's why you play professional sport. Some of it is all right. Some of it's obviously over the line, but that is what it is, and he'll just want to bounce back. So he's a good lad. He'll bounce back either way, and it'll be a great occasion for him this weekend if he can get on the pitch and sort of silence a few critics.
Is that a skill that you can develop, Freddie? Is that can you get better at blanking out the critics, at having that thick skin? And how do you actually get good at developing that skill?
I think the only way you get good at it is when you're in it. Since he's been over at Ulster, he's been on an upward trajectory. He's performed very well. I thought Autumn Nations Cup, I thought he was a real highlight for Ireland, along with Caelan Doris. And you don't see these things happening. You don't see them coming, and they've got a horrible way, especially when you're a fly half and you take goal kicking duties, or you're part of that decision making. They just sneak up on you and they happen. So you definitely learn from being in it. But that's it. It's happened now. What can you do? You either sit there and sulk and let the armchair critics who are there probably still with half their fish and chips down their face sort of criticise you and get to you, or you crack on and realise that you're the one playing in the Ireland shirt and doing a job for your country.
And in the 10 shirt, which is kind of the key part, and you can obviously relate to that quite a bit as well, is that invariably the focus is going to be on you. You put yourself into the spotlight as a number 10, and chances are if somebody's going to mess up in a game, it could be you, because you've got more opportunities than everybody else to be in the spotlight and to, I guess, be the person that costs your team in certain scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's the thing with being a 10 and a goal kicker and all that, it's a close skill. When a hooker misses a line out last play of the game, you can blame the line out caller, you can blame whoever. There's people, but when you're kicking at post or going for the corner, you're always going to be the guy to take the flak either way. And one thing I will say is, I salute the balls on the kid for his first Six Nations appearance to go for the 5, because if he puts that ball 10, 15, 20 metres out, he's probably getting criticised for not going for the 5. So big set on him to go for it, and it just didn't work. So that's that. It's one error. He's been in great form for Ulster and so far for Ireland. So just crack on, and it's a big challenge against France this weekend.
When you're looking at that, Freddie, I don't know if you've rewatched it, but I know I was listening to Ronan O'Gara during the week saying that he wasn't sure looking at it, and there wasn't a huge amount of angles necessarily available at the kick itself, but was it a technique malfunction? O'Gara was suggesting that maybe he got his head up to look at the outcome before he had finished the strike almost. I don't know if you've analysed it in those terms at all. It's your brother, so you may well not have, but I don't know if you had any thoughts about whether it was a technique malfunction or actually just like you say, the first Six Nations game, and maybe the nerves are at you a small bit at that point.
No, yeah, I think it's just a technique thing. I think, you kick a ball, obviously he was off the bench, but normally as a 10, you touch the ball anywhere between sort of 50 and 80 times a game probably. So it was one of those, it looked to me like he just dropped the ball slightly on the inside and then tried searching for it with his right foot, and that causes the ball to have that slight sort of fade away, and that was it. And at the end of the day, when you're going for a target that small, 5 meters either side, it looks like a terrible kick. So it was an execution thing. He knows that, but he's kicked a million balls and he'll kick a million more. So he'll have plenty of time to bounce back.
Yeah, and like everybody here obviously will be hoping that that's the case, and that he does the stuff for Ireland. What I appreciate that you've got a slight interest in this next question, but there's been so much debate here about who the backup to Sexton is, right? Like, I think there's a feeling that maybe there's 4 or 5 or maybe even more out half that are at roughly a similar sort of a level, and people are trying to figure that out. What's your take on, given that the position inside out and your interest notwithstanding, the depth chart almost of the Irish out halves at the minute?
Well, I think it's exactly that. I do think it's I wouldn't say a problem, but you see it with teams that have had a talismanic 10 for so long, and Johnny Sexton has been there for so long. He's such a familiar face and knows the game so well, and is such a quality operator that there's always going to be a little bit of a drop off when he steps away until people get that experience, and that's what you've got at the minute. You've got a lot of fly halves with not a lot of international experience because Johnny Sexton's been at the top of his game for so long. So it's really up for grabs. I think Bill's been outstanding. I think Ross Byrne obviously plays the very good Leinster team as well and performs for them. And there's a few other incumbents as well. Jack Carty's still doing what he does for Connacht. He scored, I think, was it 25 points in the Champions Cup the other week. So it's great for competition, but I think it's one of those now where in the next sort of year especially, they're almost going to have to nail down who they want to sort of be the successor of Johnny Sexton and give him time and expose him to errors and situations like Bill was at the weekend. So they need that exposure. They need a chance to build. And like I say, for me, from my personal point of view, obviously I hope it's Bill who gets that chance to keep proving himself.
How much better has Billy got since moving to Ulster and getting more exposure at a higher level?
Oh, unbelievable. And I think, when you see the sort of some of the critical stuff said about him on social media platforms and stuff like that, the kid signed for Ulster 2 weeks after initially talking to him. He was still in contract with Gloucester. It was a move that he had to force his way with Gloucester to be able to make that move because he wanted to represent Ireland and his country and my grandfather's country. So he's gone there. He's grown as a man off the field. He's gone through trials and tribulations with his partner, and he's grown and he's just gone better and better. And you see him as the heartbeat of that Ulster team, along with John Cooney now. So I couldn't be proud of the way that he saw an opportunity. Because if he stayed at Gloucester, he probably would have been second fiddle to Cipriani and been a frustrated second choice 10 now, trying to find a club somewhere. Instead, he's gone to Ulster. He's grown. When Henderson's not playing, he leads the team out. He's an integral part of that team, and I'm just super proud of the way that he's grown and really grasped what was a tricky situation.
Your dad's father's from Cork. That's the connection? Yeah.
Well, I think he's Dublin or something, mate. It's one of them. We used to go over. We've got plenty of family. We've got plenty of family in Dublin. So they're a bit all over. I know what you Irish are like. You're all over the place, aren't you? So it's quite funny, mate, because I see myself very much as English. Obviously, I know, especially for my old man, with his father being Irish, to see Bill represent the country of his dad, it fills him with immense pride. So, you know, yeah, we're very blessed to have been a family that have got that sort of title. But you see it all the time, don't you? You look at the Scotland team at the minute, half of them are English, so don't really matter.
You Irish are all over the place, by the way, is going to be the quote of the morning, no matter what happens from here on out. So, and mixing up Dublin and Cork is also like the most cardinal sin you could possibly have over here. It's like a Liverpool-Manchester situation. It's
I'm aware from Bill's first interview. I think it's actually was his mistake in his first interview. But hey, he's under the bus enough as it is. Let's not back over him, mate.
Thrown under the bus by his brother again this morning. That is tough.
Yeah.
You're we mentioned at the start you're in Japan at the minute. I don't know what time of the day is it there.
So it is currently 6 p.m. at night. So it's Friday night here. And your first game of the season tomorrow. So nice little rest for me before getting back to work really after 11 months.
Yeah, what's that been like for you? Have you been training away, or what's the situation been like over there?
Yeah, it was good. You know, I got over and COVID wasn't too bad over here, so I got a chance to sort of settle in and have a look around. But it's kind of kicked off in the last few months, so we're under pretty strict rules from the company, not so much the government, because of the chance of games being forfeited, and obviously a lot of the boys in the team work for the company, so if they catch COVID and it goes into one of the factories, it could be quite devastating for the company. So yeah, it's been a little bit tough and maybe not quite the free experience that I thought it would be right now, but I'm here to play rugby and that starts tomorrow, so I just can't wait to get down to what I do.
It's a lot of training and not many games. Is that it? Japanese rugby in a line?
Yeah, it is. It's bonkers over here. Considering the boys, like I say, a lot of the squad work during the day. When you come together sort of late afternoon to train, you run a lot. You do a lot of chin-ups, a lot of press-ups. It's very old school, but there's something quite refreshing about it when you've been in the professional game for so long. So I'm enjoying it. It's an experience, and just trying to make the most of it. And hopefully tomorrow's a good start for me, and I can build from there into the season.
Yeah, the roster of players, like high profile, like, you know, absolute world beater players in their day that are over there at the minute, I think is sensational.
Yeah, no, it's a really growing sport over here. Obviously with the World Cup last year or year before, whenever it was last year. So yeah, no, it is growing. Obviously, I'm at a team that currently are in the Challenge League. You know, we were meant to be in the top league, but COVID meant that the league got rearranged and no team got promoted. So we're in the Challenge League. So we've got to try and I think we've got to win 6 games to get promoted to the top league to have a crack at some of the big boys. But no, in this league, you've still got guys like Quay Cooper, Will Genya, those kind of players sort of applying their trade. So it's getting competitive, but it's certainly different to what I'm used to with the European brand of rugby.
Freddie, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience at test level. I know you've got 5 caps for England, and that's an interesting time. I think they all come under Stuart Lancaster, if I'm not mistaken, and I guess they all come with Owen Farrell as the immovable object at number 10 as well, which isn't too dissimilar to the Irish situation as you described there a moment ago with Sexton as the immovable object number 10 for Ireland. How do you reflect on that time? Because it seemed turbulent enough from the outside looking in terms of how English rugby was going at that time.
Yeah, I think 5 caps under Stuart Lancaster, you're right, and they were great times. I feel like with Stuart Lancaster, they really missed an opportunity at the World Cup in 2015. Obviously, getting knocked out at a home World Cup in the group stages is terrible. But I felt like England were more worried about image off the field than maybe producing on it. After, especially from what happened World Cup 2011, obviously there was a lot of bad press that came, and Stuart Lancaster was very strict as a coach in how we sort of showed ourselves away from the field, and I kind of feel like that kind of took away a little bit from on the field. And like you say, you saw an opportunity massively missed to build the game in England in that World Cup, and then Eddie Jones has come in and he's a guy who, you know, isn't scared to ruffle a few feathers. He's a polar opposite character than Stuart Lancaster, and you know, they've been through their tribulations themselves, but they're a growing squad. You know, I was there when it was quite a young squad, and then Eddie's come in sort of added experience to that squad by playing those boys and growing them as players. So very different blokes the way it goes, but it's they seem pretty settled at the minute.
What's going to happen in the Ireland-France game this weekend, Freddie? I presume sort of if it is that Johnny Sexton starts, it seems maybe the case, and Freddie comes on with 20 minutes to go and has a Roy the Rovers performance, I presume is your preference. What's going to happen?
Billy Burns drop goal to win it. Yeah. Billy Burns drop goal to win it, and next thing you know, all those Spiffle supporters who are giving him stick will suddenly be parading him around on their shoulder. No, who knows? It's going to be a tough task, isn't it? Because that French team, I've got to admit, they're a team that I definitely pay a lot of money to watch at the minute. So it'll be interesting. But no, I'm going to go for an Irish win and Billy Burns to just do what he does, really. He doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to score winning drop goals or do anything like that. He just needs to go out there and be the player that he's been for the last 3 years at Ulster, and he'll be just fine.
He might not need to, but we take it.
Yeah.
Thanks a million, Freddie. Great talking to you.
Legends. Cheers, guys. All the best. Thank you.
Fair play. Thanks a lot. That's Freddie Burns on the line to look ahead to that game last weekend and give us a bit of an insight into what sort of a week it's been for himself and the family and his brother, of course. Been a pretty turbulent week, but you Irish are all over the place, really, I think is my main takeaway, regardless of anything else that happened there over the last 15 minutes or thereabouts. It's coming up on 9:10 on this Friday morning, and a good morning to you wherever it is that you are at. You're watching OTB AM live in association with Gillette. Good morning start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead.